Welcome to Your Normal Programming Podcast. I'm Stephen Jarrell, and today we have Austin Jarrell, my big sister and licensed professional
Counselor.
LPC counselor,
Yeah.
licensed professional counselor. And today we're going to talk about mental health and specifically about anxiety. And Austin, right now I have excitement running through me, and I called it anxiety today. Can you kind of go over the differences?
Yeah. So anxiety and excitement feel very similar physically, right? And when you're talking about anxiety or excitement, the physical and the mental aspects of that are so closely related. So, like, if I feel anxious, then my mind says, oh, I know this physical feeling is anxiety, right? And so we feel anxious. Or if I feel excitement, like in my stomach or something, right? Then my brain's going to be like, oh, I'm excited. But they're so similar that it's very easy to tell yourself, oh, I'm excited about this when I'm starting to feel anxiety, because your brain is going to say, same feeling either way, right?
Right.
So when you're feeling anxious, sometimes it's helpful to be like, am I anxious or am I excited? And then you can kind of tell yourself that you're excited, and it's going to help you be excited instead of nervous.
So it's kind of like defining in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then we practiced a little of this talking back and forth.
Yeah.
But from um, being anxious, that comes whenever you're excited too much, or it's not excitement anymore.
Yeah. So the way I described it earlier was that anxiety, it's like an internal smoke detector, right? So if your smoke detector is going off, then what's the first thing you do?
You check for a fire,
Right, you look for a fire. And when you find a fire, if that's the reason the smoke detector is going off, you do what?
get the fire extinguisher,
Right, you put it out.
you put it
And
out.
then your fire alarm will go, or your smoke detector will go off, right? It'll stop beeping. So if your smoke detector goes off and there is no fire, right? Then it's just going off and you're looking for this fire, right? You're looking for something that you can't find. Most of the time we just take a battery out of it or in with a towel. So your anxiety is like an internal smoke detector. So when I'm feeling anxiety, I'm going to say, what is causing this? Like, what is this threat? That's what anxiety is. It's an internal alarm that says there's a perceived threat somewhere, right?
Yes.
So I figure out what that threat is. What am I anxious about? And then I can neutralize that threat. So if it is public speaking, if say I'm terrified of public speaking, right? Well, if I recognize that I'm anxious for that, then I can, if I have coping skills, I can do that, breathe through it. Um, there's a really good one it's a mindfulness coping skill, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with the five senses.
Okay.
So I look around and I think of five things that I see, and then four things that I hear, and three things that I feel, two things that I smell, and one thing that I taste. And so when I say that, it doesn't have to be like something you're just tasting, right? You can eat something and taste it. But what you're doing is you're tying in your environment, like your physical, to the present moment.
Okay.
Because if I'm anxious, I'm worried about the future, right? Or if I'm ruminating over something, like having anxiety and it's going around and around in my head, my mind's in the past. So I want to bring it to the here and now. Right. So
Okay.
that's an example of like something that you could do if you had anxiety for, say, public speaking. So let's say that I have anxiety for public speaking. I do my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I feel better. Now I've neutralized that threat. So that anxiety tends to subside a little bit. Or I do my public speaking engagement. And so now that threat is gone. So now I don't have anxiety because I'm finished with it. Right.
Right.
And so that is like putting out the fire. My smoke detector was going off. Now I put out the fire, and now my smoke detector can stop beeping. Right.
Okay. Yes.
So sometimes, though, people, their smoke detector will go off and there is no threat, right? It keeps telling them something's wrong, but there's nothing wrong to neutralize, right? And that
Right.
feeling is very bad. And when that feeling gets in the way of your normal life, like I can't get up and go to work, I can't get up and go to school, I can't go out in public, I can't make phone calls, something like that, when it's interrupting my daily life, at that point, I want to do something. I want to check into medicine, talk to somebody, you know, do some mindfulness meditation, which is really good for you. Something along those lines, and that's really helpful.
Now, from I'm hearing is defining your thoughts is very important.
Hmm.
When you define something that you can't believe or that's not really believable,
Hmm.
then that could be like um, internal anxiety because there's something that's not there that
Yeah,
you're
so like
worrying
if you're, what
about.
if this happens or what if that happens?
Yes,
Okay, yeah. So actually, I have a client who told me a really good secret for this, and she said that I could use it in talking to other people. But sometimes we get a case of the what ifs, right? Like, what if this
I
happens?
get
What
that a
if that
lot.
happens? Yeah. And the thing is, our brain, our thoughts, they're they're not the law. They're not always fact. Our thoughts are things that are just made up in our heads from experiences and ideas that we have. So when you have a thought, that doesn't necessarily make it true just because something pops in your mind, right?
Okay,
And so
right.
sometimes it's helpful to slow down and be like, well, yeah, but is that accurate, right? You kind of have to debate yourself a little bit. But if you get a case of the what if this happens? What if that happens? If you change the what to even if this happens, even if that happens, then that's going to help you get past that. It's going to throw a wrench in that cycle that keeps going and going and going. And instead of saying, what if, pick your answer, right? Because that's a very open ended question. You're making a solution focused scenario in your head.
So instead of saying what if, say even if, and then you can actually play out a positive or a negative scenario in your head,
Mm-hmm.
but you're getting a factual, not factual, but almost a concrete scenario that you can tackle.
Yeah. And if that something does happen, which is usually really rare, because our mind's always, it tries to fill in the blanks and it's pulling from everywhere. So
Podcasting's hard work. It's dirty work. They say dirty hands clean money. Well, if y'all need some dirt work done, holler at Smith's Grading and Restoration, Austin Smith. His number is 615-426-2690. Grading, excavation, you need like a wall put up to hold dirt back so that you can backfill to it, retention, all that stuff, man. Give Austin a shout. If I could rate him 5 stars, I'd give him 10. I've seen some of the work he does. It's killer. 615-426-2690. That's Smith's Grading and Restoration, Springfield, Tennessee. Summer's here. Is summer here or is it technically spring? I'll tell you one thing, grass is springing all right. If y'all are around Middle Tennessee area and you need your grass cut, now when I tell you this guy can cut and stripe a yard like a zebra, it's almost unfair how good he is, and I'll just say that. Give Bronson a call. That's Bronson Lamb with a Lambscaping, Lamscaping, which also is one of the most clever business names I've heard in a very long time, seeing as how his last name is Lambscaping, Lambscaping. That's very good. They provide lawn care, trimming, mulch, rock. He does a little bit of everything, but his landscaping, man, it's an 11 out of 10, man. I mean, if I hadn't just bought myself a brand new Ferris, and actually enjoy doing outdoor work like that, I would definitely have only him do my yard. Only because I'm in Middle Tennessee. His phone number is 629-210-4314. Robertson County and surrounding areas. I'm sure, depending on the job, he'd probably travel a little further, or maybe not. A good artist doesn't have to go anywhere, you know. So that's Bronson Lamb with Lambscaping, Lamscaping. Phone number is 629-210-4314. Back to the show.
even if that thing does happen, you're prepared for it, right? So, like, what if it rains tomorrow? Well, even if it rains tomorrow, I have an umbrella, so I'll be okay.
Okay.
Instead of saying, what if it rains tomorrow? Well, what if it rains tomorrow? Well, this, right?
Hmm.
Even if it rains tomorrow, I have an umbrella. I can go inside. I won't melt, right? And so
Yes.
I'm making it a statement instead of a question.
Now going back to that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mhm.
I think that's very important because I use that myself, saying 5 things you see,
Mhm.
but I get the order mixed up. But I know the last one is something you can taste.
Mhm.
The 4, 3, 2 is something you can see.
Well, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter what order you have them in
Okay.
because I'm bringing my mental and my physical together.
Okay.
So regardless of whether it's 5 things that I see, the way they have it written is 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things that you feel, 2 things that you smell, 1 thing that you taste. And a good way to remember it is like what is most common. Like I can see a lot of things, right? I can
Okay.
hear a lot of things. I can feel fewer than things that I can see and hear,
Okay.
right? I
So it's your
could,
senses in order.
yeah. So I'm more likely to see more things than smell more things.
Okay.
So I can smell 2 things, but I could see 5 things,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. That
So,
makes
but it really
sense.
doesn't matter what order you do it in because you're bringing your external to your internal.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that's important because being internal in your head too much can can bring anxiety
yeah.
um for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um I'm a little anxious right now, but I think that's excitement.
Mhm.
Is there good anxiousness and bad anxiousness? I know that's a very broad question.
Yeah. Well, so anxiety is necessary, right? Like if you think about back to caveman times, if I'm going to hunt for my, if I'm a caveman, I guess, and I'm going to go hunt for my family, then I need to have some anxiety because I need to be aware of my surroundings. Anxiety keeps me safe, right? If you're going into like I don't know, the woods, you're probably going to be anxious because there are things in the woods that can hurt you, like crickets. I have a phobia of crickets, but there are a lot of things in the forest that could maybe be a threat to you. So you want to have anxiety so that you can be aware. It's going to keep you on
Okay.
your toes, right? So anxiety serves a purpose. Our goal is to not have no anxiety
Okay.
because we need it. It's when it's too much
Okay.
that it becomes a problem.
Okay. So um defining it, being aware of your space,
Hmm.
um having some anxiety is okay whenever you're in certain situations.
Yeah,
Having excitement is good because it's good to be excited about
yeah,
things.
yeah. That's positive.
Um, there are a couple other things that you were telling me.
Yeah. Well, and so also for anxiety, anxiety is a good motivator too sometimes, right? If we'll go back to the example of if I'm scared of public speaking and I have a public speaking engagement, right?
Right?
My anxiety wants me to get through that. And I know once it's done, it's done. So that anxiety can be motivation for me also to push me through it to get it done so that now it's done and I don't have to do it anymore. Right?
Okay.
That's
Yes.
called anchoring. If you're
Anchoring.
anxious about something, you think about what's on the other side of that.
The
Like if
positive outcome.
Yeah, like if I'm anxious to fly, but I'm going on vacation, then I'm gonna think, yeah, I'm scared to fly, but after I do, I'll be at the beach. And kind of a good example to look at that, like anxiety and excitement, would be like, okay, I'm scared to fly, but the beach is gonna be after, right? Or like Santa Claus is coming tomorrow, and I'm so excited I can't go to sleep. Like, look at how similar those feelings are,
Very similar.
right? And one is technically labeled anxiety, one is technically labeled excitement, but we're looking at what's on the other side of that that's important. That's going to get us to that point,
Okay.
right? But some of the things we talked about earlier too were that a good cheat for anxiety. It's not a cure, but and I don't know why they don't teach us this in like 3rd grade because it would help a lot. But the part of your brain that is active when you're experiencing anxiety is the same part of your brain that is active when you are expressing gratitude or being grateful, but it can't do both at the same time. So if I'm feeling anxious about something, if I feel like I'm on the verge of panicking about something and I just need to get from point A to point B, right? If I will make it a point to start thinking about things I'm grateful for, then it's going to temporarily shut off that anxiety because that part of my brain can't do both things at the same time,
Okay.
right? And you don't even have to be really grateful for the stuff at first. I'm grateful for this floor. I'm grateful for my shoes. I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for anything. but then that'll put your mind in the right place, and it'll start going to what I'm grateful for, and it'll temporarily turn off that anxiety. When you stop, the anxiety may come back, but that's a good kind of cheat code to get through it.
That kind of reminds me of you said earlier. It kind of reminds me of visualizing your future.
Hmm.
What's that called? The it has a certain name to it.
Like your bingo card?
Kind of like your
Oh, like
bingo card.
manifestation.
Manifestation,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Law of attraction.
yeah. So I think that's great. The law of attraction is great. Manifestation is great. And like you made a bingo card, didn't you?
I did make a
Yeah,
bingo card.
and some of those things are coming through, right?
Things are coming through.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Did
highly
you make a
suggest.
bingo card?
I planned to make a bingo card, but then I have a stack of papers on my desk like this tall, and it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
So I didn't write on it yet, but it's there and it's here. But I do plan to.
Okay.
But there's an explanation for why that works so well. And I'm not like discrediting that, you draw in energy and the law of attraction and all that. Like everybody has their own things, but you have a bundle of nerves in the back of your brain, back here. It's called your reticular activating system. And your reticular activating system is like a filter, right? So it tells your brain what can come in and what needs to stay out. So like if I am walking the dogs around the block and I'm going past all these houses and yards, I see a lot of different things. I see fences, I see other animals, I see grass, I see bicycles, I see vehicles, all of this, right? But I don't remember which direction every blade of grass is facing. I don't remember which car is in every driveway because I don't need to. It's not relevant for me. I don't need that stuff, right? But my reticular activating system, it says, okay, those things aren't important. We don't need to know those things. It decides what's important based on what we give our time and attention to. So when I pay attention to something, when I give time to something, when I write things down, when I think about things a lot, when I look in the mirror and say sentences out loud like affirmations, right?
Mhm.
All of those things are saying, this is important, this is important, this is important. And so my reticular activating system is saying, oh, that's important. So if something is related to that, or if something's pertaining to that, I need to let it in, right? Because it matters. So a real life example. You want a real life example?
Please.
Okay. A real life example for that would be, let's say that I am looking for a new car.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm looking on the computer. What do I want? And I decide that I want a red SUV. So I'm looking at red SUVs. I look at some dealerships. I find one that I like and I want to test drive. So I call them to test drive it. And the next morning I get in my car to go test drive this red SUV. I get on the road. What do I see everywhere?
Red SUVs.
Red SUVs. Right. Do you think those people went and bought those red SUVs that morning?
No.
No, they didn't. They've always been there. They've always driven those, right? But I've never noticed them. Why didn't I notice them before? I didn't need to. They weren't important to me,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So my reticular activating system now says they're important to me. And why do you think it says it's important to me?
It's because you've been thinking about it.
Right. I've been thinking about it. I put some time into it. I've done things that are saying, hey, we're going to look more into this, right? And so now I notice them because I care about it. And so that's the way things are in life in general, right? Essentially, what I look for, I will find. So if I have a goal in mind, there's something that I want to do, right? You got this goal at the end of a path. If I have a path that goes straight there, everything that I do supports my goal, right?
Right.
Then I'm going to go straight there. If I'm headed towards my goal and there's a dog barking over here, and I look over to see the dog barking, which could be, for instance, like let's say that my career is here, is my goal, and then the dog barking over here is like maybe peer pressure. Hey man, come do these drugs, right? And I look
Right.
over there to see it. Well, now there are two paths,
Okay.
right? And so
Right.
now I'm gonna have to choose. Am I going this way or that way? It
Okay.
doesn't mean that this way is not possible. It doesn't like negate this way. I can still find my way back, but it's going to be harder because instead of just going in a straight line to where I want to go, now I've got to say, well, do I go this way or that way? So if that's over here, right?
Right.
And then I'm walking on my merry way, and maybe there's something over here that yells my name. Well, I look over there, so now I've got three.
You got a 33.3 chance.
Yeah, 33.333, right?
Right.
And so now I'm like,
Just-
well, I don't know which way do I need to go. So I may pick the right path and go straight towards my goal. I may go this way instead and be like, this is not for me. This is not getting me where I want to go, right? And so then I
Mhm.
may have to come back and get back on my path. So it's not impossible to do that, but if I make it a point to surround myself with things that are that goal or that are important to me, then I'm going to see more things that support me in that,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And that's kind of how we shape our surroundings. Doesn't mean other stuff isn't there, but we're not necessarily noticing other stuff because that's not important to me.
Well, the thing about you saying having those turning anxiety thoughts into gratitude,
Hmm.
that gratitude can help you towards your goal, which
Yeah.
kind of ties it together.
Exactly, 1,000%, and that's a really good way to look at that. If I'm thinking about something, right, and then I'm looking for that thing, and I'm saying, okay, my anxiety is saying this, but I know that that is not accurate. I'm putting time and attention into what I'm thinking about, what is accurate, right?
Right.
So like if everybody has flaws and everybody has talents, right? We all have things that we can improve on. We all have things that we're great at. So I'm not saying don't recognize things you're not great at. That's not healthy either. But if I want to pay attention to what I'm good at and I focus on that, then I'm going to feel a lot better about myself. Like the way we speak to ourselves is important. If I go around and say all the time, I'm so stupid or I'm so ugly or I'm so mean or whatever, then I'm putting time and attention into that. So I'm going to see things that support that. I'm going to see things that, well,
Like the
yep,
red car.
yeah. Like, oh, well, there's another reason that shows me I'm stupid. But if I say I'm smart and I am kind and I am strong, right? I'm going to notice things that support that more. And so when I do have like an intrusive thought or an anxious thought, if I can challenge it and say, well, yeah, I did fail that test, but I passed a lot of other things. I did fail that test, but it was in math and I'm really good at art, right? You see,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't magically make me good at math, but I'm focusing on my strengths. So why there's no need to focus on what I'm not. I mean, if I want to get better, sure I can practice, but there's no need to focus on those negatives when I can just as easily focus on the positives and see more positive things, right?
Things you're searching for,
Yeah.
and it's towards your goal.
Yep.
And I would like to say, I am one with the universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun. That's
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any more anxiety tips or tricks you would like to go over before we?
That's really all. What I will say is that it takes practice. A lot of times, I hear this a lot. A lot of times, we are almost programmed to think worst case scenario, and and if I had a board, I would draw it. But I do this like graphic, and it's hard to explain. But if you think about, say, I'm planting a garden, right, and I have like 3 rows of plants, little seedlings, and I decide that I want to water my plants. Okay. So I take my hose, never had a garden before, so I'm learning. I take my hose and I set it down between the first 2 plants and I turn it on and I leave it that way for like 2 weeks. What happens to the dirt between those 2 rows?
It oversaturates.
Yeah. And what happens to the shape of it?
It use.
Yeah. It makes like a ditch, right? Like
Yeah.
a little, yeah, a rut in there. And so my water's just gonna go down the rut, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's say after that 2 weeks, I come and I'm like, my 3rd row over here is still dry, right? Like that didn't help. So I move my hose between the 2nd and 3rd plants. Drop it there. I leave it on for 2 weeks. What happens to the dirt between those 2 rows?
It ruts again.
Yeah, same thing. You have that ditch, right?
Right.
Okay. So then I come back after that 2 weeks and I take my hose and I put it up at the top and drop it. Okay. It's going to pull up at first, but where is it going to go first?
To the most needed part.
To the rut,
Oh.
right? The path of least resistance that I just made.
Okay. Yeah.
So this one's been drying up a little bit over that 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a pretty good little stream. So it's going to come down here and it's going to go on this stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what happens with our thought processes. Information comes in, and if I always think worst case scenario or like in a negative way, then that's like the hose being between the 1st and 2nd rows, right? Information comes in, goes right there, goes through the path of least resistance. That's how it is. If I move my hose, I make it a point to think differently when negative things pop in my mind, and I challenge that and I say, ooh, but how can I look at that different? How can I make that more accurate? How can I make that more positive? That's like moving the hose and turning it on over here. So the more I turn it on over here, the deeper this one's going to get, right?
Right.
So you got like your bad thought rut and your good thought rut, right?
Right.
And the more I move that hose and put it over here and turn it on, the deeper this one gets. So eventually information comes in and it automatically goes down that positive one. It just takes practice.
And you're referring to the brain and making brain connections.
Yeah, neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
And changing your brain can change your life.
Yeah, definitely.
For the negative or the positive.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Positive or negative.
so it takes practice. And so, you would start by like making it a point to recognize when you're thinking things like that. Like learning when you are thinking negative thoughts is probably the hardest part because you get so used to it. Nobody has time to sit there and think about everything they're thinking about because you have 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day, right? But learning how to pick those out and focusing on that, how to pick them out. And then that will tell you when you can pause and move that hose,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And the more you do that, the better you get at it. And that's how you change the way you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we covered a whole lot today.
We did.
And I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
That's fun.
Good.
Yeah.
This is your normal programming podcast. I'm Stephen Gerald. Keep it bouncy. And this is Austin Gerald.
Bye.